right, welcome to today's episode of Tomorrow's Leader, where we dive deep on all things leader related to leading yourself and leading others. Matt, thank you for joining, my friend. Great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me, John. Great to see you. It's been a while.
It has, man. Too long. Too long. We'll get together, I'm sure, in person sometime soon, but this is a close second. Get to do something fun like this and pick your brain. We got so many people that are tuning in that are obsessed like you are and I am with leadership, and those leaders that are like outliers, like really, you think about our industry, all different types of industries, and the top 1 to 2% that just figure it out. They just do things differently. They're outliers. They just have multiples of levels of achievement above others. So I'm going to start with that question. I mean, leadership is about so many different things, but if you were going to boil it down to like the top 1 or 2 or 3 things that you think differentiate the top outlier leaders, what is it?
Yeah, that's a jam-packed question, man. We'll try to unpack it, at least some of the initial layers. I've been thinking a lot recently, and it's just been really like in my face about how important intuition is. I think great leaders just have a skill of being able to read people exceptionally well and read situations equally as well, right? Because there's a situation, there's a behavior, and then there's the person. So whether it's a leader that has to, scout talent, right, and hire people to the organization, the resume only tells you so much, right? Sometimes it tells you nothing. So you have a couple, right, moments. Sometimes it's very brief, right? Sometimes you might have a team that, gets people to that final stage of the interview, and you're about to invite these people into your organization, right? So you have this quick, snapshot, right, from that interaction to be able to read that person, and are they a fit for your culture? Are they going to do what they say they're going to do? Like, what are you able to read? And I think that's a skill. And I think honestly, great leaders may take that for granted. I think it's definitely underestimated. So intuition is a big one. It's something I've been thinking more about. So I'd put that right up at that top of the list, man. I, I I definitely look for people that they just have you just sense it, you see it, in everything that they do, and that's urgency. I think successful people, they just want to get stuff done. They want to get it done in a hurry. They don't ponder too long when it comes to making decisions. They just execute. They just do. And whether that's, you know, you see them right down the hallway, they're pacing, right? They're sprinting to the bathroom, right? They're checking the email on that walk to the bathroom. They're not wasting time. And I just see that with successful people. They
Mm-hmm.
just seem to get more done with the same hours that,
Mm-hmm.
average ordinary people have, because they're urgent about things. And the big one, I would say, overarching all things, is you have to be able to communicate effectively. And part of that is just understanding how to communicate with different types of people. There's different communication that I need to have with an advisor versus a staff member. There's different styles of communication, and some styles are going to be different, and they're going to contrast one another if it's a beginner versus someone that is more experienced.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing how to have a style of communication that fits to either the individual or the individual behavior. So leaders understand that communication is an art, but there's also a science to it. So it is both. We have to communicate all day, and that's not just through our emails and through our one-to-one dialogues. It's through how we act, how we dress,
Mm-hmm.
how we respond to certain things. And I think that's another thing that great leaders can just do well. Some of it's natural, some of it is learned, but communication is all things. I mean, I think about where I started as a financial advisor. If I couldn't take things that were super comprehensive, these massive, right, prospectuses we used to carry around, right, the phone books, and simplify that into, to plain English, black and white, third grade level, I wouldn't be able to convert that client.
Hmm.
So that same type of communication is necessary for all different types of
Hmm.
relationship building and getting people to do what they wouldn't do otherwise unless you help them get there and help them understand first why it's important or how it drives, what you're trying to drive.
Man, you gave me so much there. I've got like 10 questions I want to ask you. So I hear you saying a few things. One is I heard you say people a lot. Like, that right off the bat, it's intuition with hiring people and the communication with people and finding people with urgency and whatnot. Let's talk about that because I know a lot of leaders struggle with that. Whether they take over an organization that exists that they're trying to turn around, or a great organization that they're trying to make better, or they're building an organization from ground up. Two questions: how important is that the quality of the person, the people, and when do you know whether to invest in that person and you've got somebody that might be a B player that can turn into an A player, or this is just somebody who's not going to fit? How do you find this? Kind of seems like a fine line there. How do you differentiate between somebody, listen, I'm going to invest in this to turn them into an A player, or this is just not the right person for my organization?
Yeah, it's I guess take it in different with different opportunities, right? So one opportunity, you're meeting someone off the street, they want to work for your organization. Um, you don't know, right? So you're taking a risk, they're taking a risk, and you got to go with intuition. You got to go with the recommendation that you get, the referrals that you call or you don't call, or the references. Um, so you're taking a chance there on that individual. That's why intuition is so key, and vetting out people early on, and taking those extra steps in that selection process is so key, because you're working with what you have, which is very little.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you do want to have all the chips on your side of the table, as many as you can have. So that vetting process is really key. And we've taken that to the next level in how we do it. And there's a lot of steps involved in that to be able to give yourself the highest probability of a win with the individual if they're coming out of coming off the street. If it's someone existing in your organization, you talk about, are they a B player that you want to, invest in to squeak out a B plus or A minus? Like how do you know then? I look at three buckets. One bucket is results. Results tell a story, right? You can see if someone's winning, see if someone's losing, see if someone's flat year over year. So that's math, that's logic. I think that's the easiest part of the three buckets to be able to examine whether or not I'm going to invest more. If someone's going up, right? I look at them as a business that is going to continue to climb. I want to invest more in that, right? There's ROI there. Second bucket, skills development. Is this individual working on skills, personally, professionally? Are they acquiring skill sets that are going to help generate more results in ROI? And if they're doing that, that's certainly something that I look at as an opportunity to you know grow, right? And be part of that growth, and generate more ROI. So that would be something that would check a box there for me in that bucket. So that's, opportunities to grow. Are they investing in those opportunities? Even if results aren't, clicking yet, it's kind of like that small cap, stock company.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the everything else bucket, right? And what I put into this is all the stuff that you can't, chalk out on the whiteboard. You can't keep score of necessarily. There's no tracking system on it. Can't measure it, and that's like a key part of the culture. Maybe they're just they're a cheerleader, right, for the culture, right? They're a great person to help promote, what you're doing as an organization. They're an influencer in different ways, right, outside the scoreboard and the metrics. And it's someone that you want people that you're bringing in, whether they're off the street or whether it's maybe a business you're trying to acquire, like whoever those decision makers are, you want them to meet this person, right? So they could be an influencer to that regard. That could be everything else.
Hmm.
They could be someone that on the everything else side has potential to be a great leader. And leaders don't have to be necessarily high performers in a certain arena. It's just figuring out what arena they can serve best. And maybe it is, someone that could just lead culture. I mean, that's a role in itself. So I look at leadership potential. I look at, the values that we have in his organization, the principles that we have as an organization. And when I look at those, do I see this person's face, right? So everything else is all those things that you can't measure, you can't score, you can't track. So I'm looking at all three of those specific things, John, and that's where I'm going to double down, or
Hmm.
not do anything. Or if they're not performing in any of those buckets, you got to just remove them.
Yeah, makes sense. And that's sometimes the toughest thing to do, but the best thing you can do for the organization is you got to get the right people in and the right people out. But you got to know when you've got the wrong person, which that's a great explanation. Let's talk about self leadership. Like I look at you, I've known you for so long, so I know you, I know what you're all about. You are a really disciplined person. You lead a very with intention. There's I'm not going to expand too much because I want you to share a little bit. But how important is that as a leader? And I'd love you to just share a little bit. What's your day to day like? Like what's how do you live your life, and what impact does that have as a leader on the organization?
Yeah, I mean, if it's cool, I'll back up and share with you a little more about like how I didn't live it and kind of the lifetimes I felt I've lived to get me to this point where I am now, where I do have a tremendous amount of focus on living optimally and being my best me. And, a lot of that is just driven by wanting to have more energy, the right energy, and being able to get more stuff done in less time and, make up for a lot of lost time. So that's why there's the urgency there. Going back, like, I don't know what it was, but I never, grew up a very normal life, like, and, wasn't, scrapping for change on the street to like, buy food. Like we were on food stamps, so we middle class family, to the fullest. But I never, asked for money handout, like didn't, wasn't that kid in college, like, maxing out credit cards. I've just always worked. And I don't know where ultimately that drive came from. I mean, I always saw my parents work, right? They were hard workers, but there was something that just drove me to want to go out and hustle and earn, rode my bike to Jiffy Lube and change oil at 15 years old. And after all day, busting my butt, 10-hour days working underneath hoods, like rode my bike back home. I mean, how many kids even see riding a bike like at 15 years old nowadays?
An electric bike, maybe.
Like going to work like as a W-2 for $8 an hour. So
Right.
um, I just always had that in me. So I think it was just easy for me to keep doing that. And then I got, an opportunity to get into the financial advice space, at 23 years old, and, got out of like the hands-on work, right? Like that's hard work, and still continued to work hard, but also added in working smarter, right? Where I didn't have to be hands-on and grubby clothes all day. And did that for many years throughout my 20s. And then I got to a point where I felt unfulfilled, empty, guilty, like all the above, like making six figures, probably working, 20 hours a week, like not a bad business to be in your late 20s at that point, but just felt all those feelings. And I didn't really know why, other than that, I wasn't serving and maxing out my full potential. And I remember, specifically coming to you, it was March 2013. You had just joined the organization, and I said, "Hey, I want in. I want to be a leader." Probably didn't give you a great answer, but it was convincing enough for you to say, "All right, let's go." And that just opened up a whole another like dimension for me. I got so serious about so many things, but the big thing for me was just getting serious about business. And I found myself just completely saturated with all things that we were doing, right? Brick by brick, like, let's build a team. with scout talent, develop systems, build the infrastructure. I was so passionate about all of that. Like I've always loved, the hustle of the business, but then the hustle of building an organization, building up people. I just fell in love with it. It just didn't feel like work. And, there were times where, Friday night rolled around. I couldn't even get out of the couch. I was just so mentally and physically, wiped out. I mean, I have three sons. My first two sons, it was like, I looked at some of these pictures and I was like, wow, completely blacked out. Like I had no capacity, just zero bandwidth to retain like some of the best memories of my life that were happening, right? While I was thinking about like the email to send, right? The five deals we were working on, the
Mm-hmm.
tough conversation that we had to have tomorrow with an advisor.
Mm-hmm.
So, that brought me to kind of the chapter and go back to your question where we are today, where this other phase of my life started to happen when, I was able to launch Rise North Capital. And I'm like, to do this and to do it right. And just at this point now, 10 years of like learning from the best people out there. I found that the best leaders, they were well-rounded. They weren't just successful in business. They were successful in their relationships. They were successful in life. And for me, it just became about like, how can I dominate life? And yes, I need to be successful in business, but equally, I need to be successful with my relationships. And to be great as a leader, to be great as a husband, a father, I need to be great to myself. And that like just gave me a different level or a heightened level of self-awareness. And yes, I've always been, I guess it's been easier for me to be disciplined about certain things, whether it's my workout routine or just eating healthy and all that stuff. I just kind of, I don't know. I think I ate so much crap like growing up that I just didn't want to anymore. So,
You hit a wall.
yeah, that's just, it was just easy for me, like,
Mm-hmm.
growing up, right? Like, I guess growing up in my 20s and stuff to not,
Mm-hmm.
want to eat crap. But, going, forward, it was just like, now I'm 40, so it's all about energy. And it's like you think about an example would be like when you're a teenager and you get your first wheels, right? You put just enough, gas in the car to like get through the Friday night, and it's like the cheapest
Yeah.
gas you can possibly get, right? You beat the shit out of the car.
We've
Like
all
you
done
can
it.
get through all that, right? Like with your body in your teens and your 20s, and then it's like it gets tougher to do that and to stay at a high performance level and stay consistent at a high performance level and then have that be sustainable and then still be able to go home and play with the kids, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
our kids go to bed like, 8:30 at night. So I might have a 30-minute window with my wife. Like, so if I'm not intentional with that, if I don't have energy for that,
Mm-hmm.
like, so it's all these things you talk about being intentional that starts with me
Yeah.
and thinking about, what do I say yes to? What do I say no to? When's my last meeting? When do I shut down the signals on my phone? Because business doesn't stop. The business doesn't
Yeah.
have an on and off switch, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, for me now, I mean, I was just in an interview yesterday and for an admin assistant. And she's like, I know nothing about you. Like, tell me about you. I'm like, I'm kind of boring now. I'm very routine based. I've just felt like I've lived so many lifetimes. Like I felt by the time I got to college, I lived a lifetime, and then in my 20s, I lived this other life. And then my 30s, like it was just so focused on like becoming the best, business professional CEO I could possibly, could be. Now it's like I want to be the best version of me. I want to be living an optimal life. I want to do all these things at the highest level. And that's so freaking fun, man. Like you think about a professional athlete, they have this like lifespan that's this and what they do that they love to do
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, the best are right. They get the mental thing going too, but mostly it's physical,
Yeah.
right? Like Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, they can't still play. Well, they can, but not at the level they were. But mentally, I'm sure they
Mm-hmm.
still want to be there. But
Yeah.
this game of life and business, I get better. I get bigger, faster, stronger every single year
Yeah.
because of the experience, the time that takes to get the experience, and now I have it,
Yeah.
and I just feel that it's unstoppable, from here on out. So again, going back to just like routine, it's very simple. It's go to bed this time to get up this time.
Mm-hmm.
It's preparation as far as like what do I eat, when do I eat? I mean, it's scheduled out. Like I'm not thinking about what do I get for lunch? What time do I go to lunch? It's on my schedule. It's 12 o'clock. The lunch is packed. I'm working while I'm doing it.
Hmm.
What time I, end my meetings, down to like, when am I going to be most effective in a meeting? Like
Hmm.
I asked you specifically for 11 o'clock. I knew that's my best me,
Yeah.
right? So I want to get it that freaking tight where like I can show up and I can perform at the highest level down to the hour.
Hmm.
Um, so again, it's all centered around energy. Now it's like I got to pack that with all the other things like, recovery.
Hmm.
Um, and there's,
Well,
a
it's
whole list of stuff. We were talking about that, right? There's a whole list of
yeah,
stuff like on
yeah,
that end that we can get into. That's like another whole podcast.
right, right,
Yeah, but I don't have like this crazy answer for you around like a day in the life. I mean, it's get up, hit the gym, and go and shut the phone down, which shuts the business brain down for me, and do my thing with the kids, do my thing with the wife, go to bed, wake up, do it again.
yeah,
Weekends a little more free,
yeah.
and yeah, I got some me time in there, which is really seasonal with golf, but
Yeah.
it's a simple life, and I feel like that's just kind of where I am, and it allows me to have the capacity, the mental bandwidth to do big things that I
Yeah.
want to do, which helps so many other people.
Well, it's interesting, and I'm glad you said that because I see so many. First of all, and I've seen you over the years, and the leader you are today, the leader you were, the leader. I mean, it's amazing, and I think I've seen those two sides of you. The one that was more and myopic, maybe, zeroed in, laser focused on work, and having that be the hopeful ripple effect on the rest of your life. And I've seen the result of you now, having visited your organization and seen firsthand, like, that's incredible place. And wow, what an impact that makes, because people want to follow somebody that has that cares about them, but also is going to take them to a place that they want to go and that they can't get on their own, and they want to follow somebody who they have confidence can get them there. So part of that is what they're looking at is everything, not just who you are in work, but they're looking at who you are and how you lead your life. And people want balance. They want to be able to enjoy life. I see a lot of leaders that just take on other stuff. They join that board because they feel it's going to make a 1 or 2% difference. Well, there's another side to that. If that's taking away from your family life or other parts of your life or other passions, it might not be worth that extra 1 or 2% because there's a cost, there's an opportunity cost. So I think the thought of being really intentional and deliberate with what you do and how you run your day, and then manage your energy and make sure that you are mentally and physically the best you can be when you need to be, and that all plays in. I know the value of making sure you've got great balance and relationships and everything. So great points. I know we only have a little bit of time. The time zips by, and there's so much I want to chat about with you. But in maybe in the last few minutes, if you can share a little bit about where you see kind of the next step. Like, you've gone from starting in leadership. You've gone through different experiences. You're now at a point where you've learned a lot. You lead a very, very successful organization. What's next? Like, what's the next level of leadership for you and leadership development? What's your vision?
Yeah, I mean we're 5 years into this build out of Rise North Capital. So I feel like it's really the first, three chapters coming to a conclusion, which means that we're still at the beginning of the book. And I see, nothing but, continuous growth. 2025 will be no doubt like our biggest year ever. I mean, I can't tell you how excited I am just about the number. And it sounds like crazy, but 2025, like how could you waste such a good number? Like I'm talking not just one milestone, but like how many milestones can we accomplish in 2025? So the target is to get to 300 financial advisors by 2027. No doubt we'll do that. Household name in the financial advice space, no doubt we will do that. But for me, what gets me, really fired up, it's seeing the people around me that doing what I do that doesn't feel like work, bleeds into their life. It's, my energy that translates to their energy. It's seeing their life turn around in, a quarter amount of time it took me to get to where I am. It's that direct impact. And I think just being, I guess more clear on my purpose and like where I can really make the biggest impact. Um, now having that clarity, I think that's again just it's untapped right now, John. Like it's me tapping into that. I know it's game over. So when I talk about like my purpose, it's to help other people become the best self for their selves and their families and their communities. And we've been able to do that with a lot of people that weren't in the place, weren't in the mindset at all prior to joining the organization, and then it's just seeing their life turn around like 180 in such a tremendous way, and be able to have families and buy houses and like give back. There's nothing more rewarding than that. And to me, that's all things, right, that you get from leadership that often we don't necessarily say, okay, this is why we're signing up to be a leader. We come into it for different reasons, based on different places we are in life and different seasons that we're going through, whether it's in business or life. But then you ultimately get to this point where it becomes purposeful, in a much bigger way than you ever anticipated, or you didn't even know that was the way until you hit you. So that's what's really hitting me now. And the timing couldn't be better because we have built some critical mass where we can do some amazing things. And we're starting to make some noise now. And, to me, it's still too quiet. So we're going to go crazy. We're going to conquer some crazy milestones in 2025. We've been able to do this thanks to COVID, now virtually in all 50 states. And there's never a better time to do it in our space. I mean,
Mhm.
the people giving advice are retiring before the people that can actually, follow the advice and,
Yeah.
and retire. So being able to build the future of our space and give people skill sets and help people that need help with money. Um, it's an amazing thing, and it's just such an opportune time to do what we're doing, which is getting people into the space. And I couldn't do it without leadership, right? And being able to understand that that's something you can learn, and it's everything that you want, right, for yourself, and for your family and for your community, is to be a great leader in some capacity, because we all are leading, right?
Mhm.
So appreciate your help along the way, right, for that first shot. And couldn't be where I am and having this conversation with you without your handshake. So appreciate you for that.
Hey, my pleasure, man. It's most gratifying and exciting to see what you've done. I gave with an opportunity. Many people don't take advantage and really dig in the way that you have. You have done incredibly well, incredibly great things, and really excited to see your success, and really excited to see what 2025 and 2026 brings. So I'd love to have you back on the show at some point and kind of give us a recap of what has happened over the next 12 months. So if
Yeah,
you're
let's do it.
Up for it.
Let's do
Yeah, good.
part two.
yeah, you got it. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining, Matt. I greatly appreciate your advice, your leadership guidance. I know the listeners have gotten a lot out of it. So we appreciate that. And thanks all for you joining today. As always, like, share, subscribe, all that kind of great stuff. We've got Matt Logan here today. Go down to the show notes. You'll see all his info, links to his website, all the info to reach out to him. A top shelf leader with lots of great advice. So appreciate you joining today, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Matt.